Hi, Nick Collier here, and this is my shop. Come join me. We'll have some fun. Well, hey, Nick Collier here, and today we're going to build a couple of jigs. Well, actually, we're not going to build them because I built them back before I started doing YouTube videos. But what we're going to do is I'll walk you through the steps that I took to get to where I needed to go, and it'll be apparent by the time we get to the end where we want to go. So the first part of this is what I need to do, right? So we're going to start with these big ass washers here. I think it's 1.5 inches on the inside, and we need to cut those washers. Now I'm going to bring you in closer here, and we'll let's see. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. Okay, so now what has to happen to that washer is I have to make an elongated hole in that. And I'm going to show you the reason why in about 2 seconds. And this is for a bench pen for the jewelry industry. Jewelers put their, the things they're working on out here, and then they can saw and file and that sort of thing. So down underneath, and I'm going to flip this so you can kind of get a view of it. You can see right there is that big ass washer. And it welds, we're going to flip this over here, it welds to this sleeve right here, which the wing nut clamps down on the shaft. And of course, when you loosen the wing nut, it loosens up and this can travel up and down. But you tighten the wing nut and this thing clamps down on it. And the washer basically is just to put these 3 screws in. And that gives it a platform to work from. Okay. This is the shaft. We're going to turn it sideways so you can see it. And you can see right there that there is that washer. And it welds, just one part of it welds to this sleeve down here. This sleeve is a whole nother ball game that we might deal with at some other time. But right now we're just concentrating on the washer itself. So how do we get the washer to go from being flat and straight to rotating so that it's actually at an angle with the bench pin tower? Now there's many approaches to cutting something at an angle like that. Certainly with CNC machines, you could do that all day long. You just dink with the computer a little bit and it cuts at an angle. But I don't have that capability, so I built this jig to hold this washer at that particular angle and spin at the same time. Now let's go ahead and take this off, and we will, let me see if I can find a screwdriver. And we'll put the washer in. Now I always meant to get a regular screw, and first, before I do that, I think I'm going to have to answer this phone. Oops, I just remembered, and it's been a while since I've made any of these washers, that this jig needed another jig in order to make this thing happen correctly. What has to happen is this oval needs to be lined up with that one screw hole, and I put a pin in here so that this thing fits in there really nice, and that way this can line up and be cut very smoothly. The problem is of course this washer doesn't have that hole in it, so I'm going to have to go over to the Bridgeport and build and I already built, I admit, a jig to drill these 3 holes first before we bring this over here and plug it into this. So let's go over to the Bridgeport and see what we got. Okay, over here at the Bridgeport, we're going to take our washer, and we've got that the basic washer, and it'll drop right on. Let me clean that off a little bit. It'll drop right on top of this, and you see it fits nicely. Now, we machined that out. Pretty, you can see, straightforward machining process. So that drops right on top of there. This drops on top of there and holds the washer in place. Right? I also machined these two flats, so this will go in between the jaws of the vise. And then all we have to do is figure out where that hole is. And, you know, in this situation, that hole can be really anywhere, as long as it's, you know, the X direction, or is it the Y direction? Y direction. As long as the Y direction is set correctly, the hole can be anywhere. So let's do this. Take that out. Drop this one in, because this is kind of an example piece. There's a little bit of slop in this one where there isn't in the other one. But I think it's going to be just fine. We'll drop that in. Pretty good. Now I got to figure out how to get this. Oh, I know. So we'll get a pointer and we'll point this bolt hole. We'll bring the pointer back up. We'll come over here and point this bolt hole until we get those bolts lined up, and then we know where we're at. And I think this pointer will do just fine. Okay. There we are. Drop it down, bring it over. Now bring it back up, swing it on over, oops, up a little higher. Okay, we're off by a little bit. Can you see that? Let's see if you can see that. Not so well, huh? Okay, so we're off this way just a little bit, so we can just kind of rotate our washer until we get centered. Bring it down. That looks pretty center to me. And I am going to go ahead and set my DRO with that. Now we'll take it up and we'll roll back to the other one. And it's just a little bit off the other way. So we're just going to bring that back. Bring this down. Let's try that. Okay, now we're just a tad off. And that looks pretty good. Let me tighten that bolt up a bit. All right. Bring this back. Just a little off. All right, that's good. Now we'll zero out our DRO. We'll come all the way back to this side. Drop our tool down, but it looks like it is still just a little bit off. Okay, and we are sitting at 246.10 from side to side on the X direction. Take this back to 0, see how we're doing squareness wise. Ooh, nice. And that should be sitting right at 10, or right at 0, I mean. And there is 0. Well, that's not quite 0, is it? There is 0. Yes. Oops. I got to set the DRO once I set 0, don't I? Okay. There it is. So it was only 0.03 off. Okay, and that's nice and centered. And we're at 245.13. .246. 2 inches 46 is our number. So if we come up, and half of that would be 1 inch 23, right? 1 inch 23. So we come halfway. 1 inch 30, 20, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. There's center. And now we go 1 inch 23 this way. 1 inch 10, 20, 1, 2, 3. And that should just center straight out on top of that. Look at that. Oops, I banged you. That centers out directly on top of that hole. So now we're squared up, and we're squared up with that third hole. So now that we're there, so 1 inch 23 would be our center number, and I think what I want to do is just bring this back to 0. Three, 2, 1, 0, and then so we're dead center on the thing. Now I'm going to zero out my DRO. Take this out. Except, well, I can just go the other direction. That's no problem. Put my washer in. Snug everybody down a little bit. We need a drill bit, don't we? All right, so now we go 123, 1, 10, 20, 1, 2, 3. Speed it up a little bit. And that looks like the hole should be just about right. Okay, back to 0. $123. 123. Hang on. 3. And then all the way to the other side on 123. That's 124. Here's 123. Oh, that's, yeah, 123. All right, so we've got 3 holes drilled. Let's take this and pull it and test it with the other one. So now I've got, oh, I don't know how many, probably 20 or 30 more of these to drill out. And once I get those drilled out, we'll be back. All right, well, now that we've got our 3 holes drilled in this sucker, we can spin this around and mount it in our receiver. And there's a boss right there set up to take that center hole. We can get it to go in. There it is. And then this closes up on that, and a couple of screws go in there, and we're all set. Of course, we've got to tighten the screws. Okay, so now we've set our DRO so that I start at 150. There's 150 about. And we have a elongated hole at a, oh, I don't know, probably a 30-degree angle. So that should, that'll give us exactly what we want. We got about 20 more of these to cut. So, hey, we're not going to put you through 20 more of these. I'm the only one that has to kind of stand here and crank. But so, we'll be back. This was a short little project. Mostly just to show off the fixtures and how you can, you know, if you don't have a tool, you can go ahead and make one. And in fact, oftentimes that's how things are invented, is somebody makes a tool and it turns out to be such a great idea that they put it into mass production, and voila, there it is. This is Nick Collier, checking out.